It's the TCTV Training Show. The TCTV Training Show. They're learning how to shoot and learning how to light, learning how to mic and edit right. These are TCTV's finest in training, doing their best with focusing and framing. It's the TCTV Training Show. The TCTV Training Show. You're watching TCTV. It's the Training Show. The TCTV Training Show. They will get better.
Hi, and welcome to the TCTV Training Show. I'm Robert Kim, the Member Services and Media Education Manager for TCTV. The TCTV Training Show is produced monthly and is composed of videos produced by the Digital Field and Editing class. You can watch it Sundays at 3:30 p.m. in the afternoon and Thursday nights at 8 p.m., only on TCTV Channel 22. Let's go to our first video produced by Sylvia Jackson.
Camp Coyote right now is a delightful experiment because there's a real family feeling here, a real community, if you will.
This is inside our common area in Camp Coyote, and we got the kitchen over here. Here's our kitchen, and right in there is all the food that was donated since we've been here, and the tents over there were donated.
Right now they're finding what to do for the future camps. They're finding, for instance, that what to do about Santa cans and gray water and garbage, and how to build their common areas and how to get along. I mean, this is a beautiful experiment.
Awesome.
On the day the sidewalk ordinances went into effect, what we did was we used the protests of those ordinances as a diversion. And we went in and we set up a tent city in the middle of downtown Olympia. We ended up with about 25 tents around this central structure in downtown Olympia. We managed to get 7 days, and then we negotiated with the Unitarian Church here, and they gave us this place to set up. And it was known by the city and by everybody else that we were coming here. And we figured we had that next day, after 7 days, to move. Instead, at 4:30 in the morning, in the rain, they surrounded us with police, rousted us from our tents, told us we had a half hour to get out, and that there would be coffee and cookies across the street. The idea was they did not want us to be able to make it here in good order. They figured by only giving us half an hour, we would have to leave our tents, leave our belongings, and just go back to the streets again.
Camp Coyote, they make the decisions on their own. It's not from the top down. This is everybody deciding. I just was sitting in on a meeting in there in which the group makes most of the decisions for the place. Not all of them, because the church has some rules, but they run it in the most democratic fashion that I've ever seen an organization run.
What we're looking for is a permanent location.
We realized, being around each other really does help one another.
We're looking to rebuild community.
I don't think I've ever felt any love that I feel here.
This video had heart and some really nice interviews. I think Sylvia did a great job with the use of pictures in this piece. She got some pictures off of the internet of the Camp Coyote as it was being disassembled downtown, and incorporated that into her video, although she didn't have footage. So that's always an option for you to take still photos and put them into your video if you don't happen to have the video footage. She had good interviews, a nice flow, well put together documentary style video. The only thing I would recommend to her is some audio transitions, some crossfades between audio clips. You notice some of the interviews, just kind of the audio cut off, and a crossfade would have made that a little bit less disturbing to the viewer. Another thing is, and this is being really picky, you noticed in part of the video where they showed the kitchen tent, it was really blue. Maybe that was a white balance problem, or maybe it was just that the light being filtered through the blue tint made everything blue. Well, those of you who have taken the advanced editing class will know that you can use Final Cut's powerful color correction filter to fix this. And it's very easy. I recommend you take the advanced editing class to learn everything there is to know, but the color correction filter is pretty easy to use. When you're using this filter, take the eyedropper tool and pick something in the video footage that's supposed to be white. Then Final Cut will make up for all of the other colors, and it may be able to make your video look a little bit better. But great job, Sylvia Jackson. Next, we're going to go to Pat Jeffries.
Last week, I was thinking of local community theater as it existed 20 years ago, how much of it there seemed to be, and how it influenced what was at that time my future. I recalled witnessing a bit of improvisation at a cast party, a sudden scenario about two elderly gentlemen sitting on a park bench with dialogue made up on the spot. Dialogue that was damned funny, first-rate improv by people who lived right here in our communities. The actors performing the sketch were Dean Batali and Scott Stilson. After their performance ended, a conversation between the three of us included Dean Batali's mention of TCTV, an organization that provided equipment and training to people interested in producing local television programs. Dean's suggestion that it might be fun to videotape cast party performances and put them on TV interested Scott Stilson, and me too. That conversation was the genesis of a local comedy television program called Special Session. The Special Session opportunity gave us and several of our community theater friends the chance to practice and display many artistic endeavors. Scriptwriting. We could intercept their broadcast signal by preempting their satellite relay.
Well, how could we do that?
I have a shuttle.
Well, I have a launch pad. I have some liquid oxygen.
Acting.
What are you doing? I'm sick of that stuff. We've been watching the same thing for 3 days now.
He was a great man, and he was our dad. I loved him like a sister.
Instrumental music performance. Special effects generation. 3. And of course, improvisation.
What do we have this week?
Well, we have a guest.
We have a guest.
We have a guest.
We have a guest.
Casimir Garlic and Limburger.
Well, that's right. It was on special. I rubbed it all over my body.
Anyway.
Time.
Recalling the local multi-talented people I had the chance to work with, it occurred to me that our communities must still contain that level of talent, but not, it seems, quite as much opportunity for its display. What I would like to see is a partnering of arts and business organizations, nonprofit and commercial, educational and post-educational, joining to create an annual or semi-annual arts festival where music, drama, comedy, writing, dancing, painting, and as many other art forms as possible are displayed. A festival of a type that would be yet another expression of the value of the Thurston County region. That's what I'd like to see.
All right, great job by Pat. He is a natural in front of the camera, and you can see that. He did a good job of writing a script for this piece and reading off of that script as part of his narration. And he also had a well-framed shot and some nice usable footage in the background. I did think that the subject matter was interesting. I loved seeing those old clips from TCTV, but it kind of strayed a little bit from the assignment, which was to do a video piece about something informative to the viewers of Thurston County. So, bent the rules just a little bit. Technically, this piece was very, very well put together. The only little problem I found was that one of the narrations had a word cut off when he said script writing.
Many artistic endeavors. Script writing. We could.
You didn't hear the last NG, and that's just a matter of trimming that piece just a little bit better in editing and make sure you have the full phrase in there before you finish. But great job, Pat. We're going to go to our next video by Jacob Hoff.
Well, I am a trooper with Washington State Patrol, and I'm here to talk about teen driving under the influence of alcohol and drugs and ramifications of doing so.
Is this a common issue in Thurston County?
Yes, it is. I worked for 4 years in Thurston County as a state trooper, and it is a problem in Thurston County and in all the counties across the state. It's imperative that people, if they do get into that situation and they realize they've had too much to drink, or if they're a teen and they've had anything to drink, it's better to call someone to come get you. Call your parents, call a grandparent or something. Even if you get in trouble with your parents or your family, it's much better than getting in trouble with law enforcement or causing a serious collision with something that you'll have to live with for the rest of your life. Sometimes you get afraid to call your parents because you don't want to get in trouble, but I'm sure your parents would much rather hear from you than hear from law enforcement in the middle of the night that you've either been killed or that you've killed somebody else in a serious collision, or that you're down at the local jail wanting them to come bail you out. Hello, this is Trooper Hoff again. We're out with the patrol car here, and just to let you know, this is one of the unmarked vehicles that we use to find aggressive drivers and also look for people under the influence. This particular car has no outer markings that would indicate that it's a patrol car. It does have lights and siren. Once you activate them, that show up and let the person know that it's a patrol car. It's also equipped with a video camera which records the driving and the contact with the person. We let them know that they're being recorded, and we record the entire contact, the stop, the sobriety tests if there are sobriety tests, and if the person's in the back seat, we can also record their comments and stuff that they're making while they're in the vehicle. Hello, we're inside the patrol car now. Give you a perspective of what it's like to be arrested. This is the video camera I was telling you about, and everything shows up on this screen here. The camera can be repositioned to film the person in the back. But you can see how tight the quarters are back there, what the plastic seats look like. It's not a comfortable ride. Again, in closing, just remember that drinking and driving destroys lives and can lead to devastating collisions and loss of life. And don't put yourself in that position, and be sure, if you do drink, to be responsible and don't drive a vehicle. And we ask that you call someone to come get you, but we prefer that you don't drink at all, especially when you're underage. Again, this is Trooper Hoff. Have a good day.
All right, what an educational piece for us. Jacob did a great job of following the assignment and doing something informational to the community, and what a great message. So the first thing I noticed about this video, though, that the title at the very beginning was a little too short. I had a hard time reading it, and also that it was a little bit hard to see because it's white and there's kind of a light color behind the lettering. Something that would have made it better would be to add an outline or a drop shadow to it, and that would have just made those letters pop out just a little bit better. Really good interview, though, and Jacob was fortunate that his father was a state trooper and that he was willing to do this for him, so good choice. And I did notice that the background behind him was, at some parts, was a blue backdrop with some wrinkles in it. And after talking to Jacob, he told me what the situation was, and the weather wasn't very good outside. He couldn't shoot it outside. He had to shoot it in a children's room with a crib behind it. So he put that backdrop behind it because he didn't have any other choices. And that's not always a bad idea, but something that could have made it look a little better would be to hang it in such a way where you had some ruffles in the curtain, just as these curtains look behind me, where you have the ridges and and it just kind of breaks it up and gives it more to look at. And then you won't see the wrinkles as much. So failing that, iron the sheet before you hang it up. And another thing you could do is shine a light on the background to create a slash. Let me show you. If you set one of your portable lights up like this, and you take the barn doors, you have to open them all the way, meaning bring out these legs till it's as wide as it'll go, then close them down until it makes a nice closed slit like this. You turn this around, you shine it on your backdrop like so, and there we have it. We have a nice aesthetically pleasing slit of light behind us that breaks up the monotony a little bit. So make sure you use those light kits and try this out on your own. Another thing for Jacob is he had a really great shot of the car with the interviewer, but what would have been even better was to have some B-roll behind it instead of having that jerky camera pan. B-roll and a cutaway to maybe the features of the car, the siren, the controls, and all that stuff would have made that look a lot better. I'm interested to know how Jacob mic'd the subject when he was shot in front of the blue screen there, because I noticed that his questions that he was asking the subject were a lot louder than the subject being interviewed. And I suspect he may have been using the camera microphone, which we all know is a big no-no. Make sure you check out a lav. Put the lav on your subject. If you're going to ask questions, do them afterward or take the time to hook up 2 lavs. So remember that. And I really liked the end of the piece where he showed the perspective of getting arrested, and not all of us have had the opportunity to see what the back seat of a police car looks like, and so I'm sure some of us enjoyed that. The only other thing I have is that one of his phrases, "comfortable ride," was cut off at the very end, and then the whole segment just kind of abruptly ended. But you know, this is your first piece. You did good, kid. Okay, let's go to our next piece. Tyshia Krogan.
Here, in the drizzly Northwest, there are days when we just want to stare into the fire, listen to the rain on the roof, and let our thoughts just drift away.
While we're relaxing in front of the fire, the TV show In Case You Missed It is out filming local Thurston County events. Let's go visit now with Bob Giles, producer of In Case You Missed It.
Yeah, so Bob has a show called In Case You Missed It, as I said, and it's an arts and entertainment show, isn't it?
Yes, I do go out and I shoot theater, art, music, current community events that people might miss.
Tell me about your training at TCTV. How long did it take you to get trained to be a producer and to use the film equipment?
Well, the truth be known, you know, when you get to be my age, it takes you a little longer. The learning curve is a little higher, and I'm still training. I'm still learning stuff.
Are you now?
Still learning stuff, yes. But I'm much better now than I was 4 days ago.
Okay. Well, your shows don't show it. They're very professional. Bob, if I was to ask you what advice you have for a young producer or a new videographer, what advice would you give?
Well, I wouldn't say young. I'd say any producer at all that wants to produce, you're never too old to learn. If you watch other people do things, you can kind of pick out what they're doing good and what you like, what's appealing to you, and you can use that. And things that are not appealing to you or you don't like, you know that you don't want to do that.
So what kind of plans do you have for In Case You Missed It for this upcoming year?
Well, I just started back doing it. Took a hiatus for a year. Just got back this year doing In Case You Missed It as an arts and entertainment show. And I want to do some really quality stuff now. I've learned from my past mistakes. I've got some terrific on-camera personalities that are going to bring the show to another level.
What kind of shows have you done so far this year?
Well, I really did. We really did a great show in downtown Olympia at the Eagles Ballroom. The illuminated ball was nice, but the really top-rated show was the one that's coming up in April, is the Entertainment Explosion.
And what is that, Bob?
That's a group of musicians, actors, singers over the age of 55 that were doing a benefit for needy children in the Thurston County area. I want to continue on with the entertainment, but I want to get in this year, instead of more music, I want to get into more theater and more art and individual musicians.
So keep your eye out for Bob, and in case you missed it.
Isn't it great to know that while we're relaxing in front of the fire, that In Case You Missed It's crew is out there covering all the local events for us? Be sure to tune in on Monday nights at 6 p.m. and Friday mornings at 9:30 a.m. for In Case You Missed It. And I'll see you in front of the fire.
All right, I really like the way this started out with the VO, or voiceover as we call it in the television business. Taishia wrote a script, and she did some really good on-camera work where she was sitting in front of the fire, and she was really creative the way she tied in the introduction to the ending and tied it all together and summed it up. That was really nice. I did notice a kind of a distractive change in the audio quality at the very beginning.
Listen to the rain on the roof and let our thoughts just drift away. While we're relaxing in front of the fire,
make sure that you use the same mic when you do stuff like that. Another thing is there was some cuts to black throughout the interview. And the thing with the two shot where Taishia and Bob are together, then you see Bob looking at the camera, and then you see Taishia and Bob sitting next together in a two shot. It was a little weird for the viewers. So you got to stick with one or the other. You don't want to really change back and forth. One thing that this video could have really used is some clips from Bob's shows. There was a lot of places where I saw some jump cuts, and not to mention those frames of black. If you would have had some clips from some of Bob's show, you could have used that to patch all those things together. Yeah, there's some parts where Bob is talking and then he's talking about something else, and we have to cut out all the stuff in between, and then he jerks. And see, that's what we call is a jump cut. But if you would have just cut to a clip of Bob's show, then you could cut back to him. He could talk underneath it, and then it would have just nicely patched everything together. So remember that in the future, Taishia. And again, yeah, good tie-in back to the beginning at the very end. So, way to go, Taishia.
Training Show!
All right, and now it's time for a special treat for all our viewers. It is the training tip of the day. And this month, we are in the middle of our three-part series, our trilogy on audio filters. And this month, the compressor strikes back.
It's the TCTV Training Tip of the Day. TCTV Training Tip of the Day. TCTV Training Tip of the Day.
Next, we're going to talk about the compressor. Now, what the compressor does is it takes really loud portions of your audio and brings them down to the appropriate level. Even though your audio levels are all over the place, when you use the compressor, it evens things out. So here's an example of how it works. Next, we're going to talk about the compressor. Now, what the compressor does is it takes really loud portions of your audio and brings them down to the appropriate level. Even though your audio levels are all over the place, when you use the compressor, it evens things out. So here's an example of how it works. The opposite of a compressor is an expander. The expander or noise gate takes lower sounds and just mutes them so that you can't hear background incidental noise when a speaker is the main thing that you should be focused on. The opposite of a compressor is an expander. The expander or noise gate takes lower sounds and just mutes them so that you can't hear background incidental noise when a speaker is the main thing that you should be focused on. That's all for the TCTV Training Show. I know it's over and it's sad, but we'll be back next month. So tune in again every Thursday night at 8 p.m. and on Sundays at 3:30 p.m. only on TCTV Channel 22. If you'd like to get involved with TCTV, give us a call at 956-3100, or you can go to our website at www.tctv.net. You can click on the training page to see what classes we have to offer, the times and dates, and whether or not you can be a part of it. You do have to be a member of TCTV to take training classes, and you must have gone through orientation. Now remember, if you want to be part of this show, you have to sign up for the digital field and editing class, and those are held every month. So be sure to check that out and sign up. So thank you for watching. My name's Robert Kim, and I'll see you next time.
It's the TCTV Training Show. The TCTV Training Show.
Okay, fine. So, so what are your plans?
Take 45.
Yes.
Well, I have. What are you drinking in that hot chocolate? I didn't do that.
No.
They will get better.